Okay, picture this. You're a seeker, and you ask a senior monk a simple question. Why do Vaishnavas strictly avoid onion and garlic? Why do Jains avoid potatoes? And yet tantrics actually embrace those exact same foods, and some texts say meat is practically essential for a Kshatriya warrior. Like, how do we even begin to make sense of all this? And the monk's answer? Because food is not just nutrition, it is vibration. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going way beyond calories and macros to unpack the profound ancient Dharmic science of how what you eat literally shapes your consciousness. So let's start right there with our central paradox. Why does a devoted Vaishnava completely reject an onion while a tantric actively embraces things like alcohol in their rituals? It seems like a massive contradiction, right? But the answer is actually incredibly profound. It's because food is the architect of your thoughts. Whatever we consume, digest, and internalize becomes our mind. And since these different spiritual paths have completely different end goals, well, naturally, they require completely different dietary fuel.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. Food is the mind. 2. The Vaishnava prohibition. 3. Jainism, compassion under soil. 4. Warriors and tantrics. And finally, 5. Physiology and consciousness. Okay, section 1. Food is the mind. Alimentary consciousness. Let's dive in. We really have to start by establishing the baseline premise that all these traditions share. Food carries an energetic signature. The Chandogya Upanishad breaks digestion down into this fascinating three-part process. It says that when you eat, the grossest, heaviest part of the food is just rejected as physical waste. The middle part transforms into your physical flesh, blood, and muscle. But here is the kicker. The third part, the absolute subtlest essence of that food, actually ascends into your nervous system to literally become your mind, or manas. It's exactly like churning curd to get butter. The finest part rises right to the top. Literally, your thoughts are manufactured out of the subtle essence of what you had for dinner. So think of food as the primary regulator of the three gunas. The gunas are basically different software operating systems for the human body. First, you have Satva, the mode of purity, harmony, and light. That's your fresh fruits, dairy, and light grains. Then there's Rajas, the mode of passion, aggression, and relentless activity, triggered by spicy, sour, or heavily stimulating foods. And finally, Tamas, the mode of ignorance, lethargy, and darkness, brought on by stale or decaying foods. If you want to change your mental state, you literally have to change your gunic software. Which brings us to section 2, the Vaishnava prohibition explained, dietary purity. The Bhagavad Gita is very clear on this. It says, foods in the modes of passion and ignorance actively agitate the mind. This is exactly why Vaishnavas, who are seeking unalloyed, pure devotion to Krishna or Vishnu, only consume sattvic food. Their ultimate goal is a tranquil, clear mind that is capable of deep meditation and pure love. Any food that stimulates base desires or clouds the intellect is strictly avoided, mostly because it can't be offered as sacred prasadam to the divine. And in this tradition, if it can't be offered to God, the devotee simply doesn't eat it. Now, there is this incredible Puranic mythology that explains the dual nature of onions and garlic perfectly. The story goes that alliums actually sprouted from the decapitated demon Rahu's blood. During the churning of the ocean, Rahu stole a drop of the nectar of immortality. When Lord Vishnu severed his head, drops of that demonic blood mixed with the divine nectar and fell to earth. Boom, onions and garlic were born. It's such a brilliant way to explain their nature. They possess incredible, life-saving medicinal properties from the nectar, for sure, but they carry this spiritually tainted, tamasic energy from the demonic blood.
Moving on to section 3, Jainism, compassion under soil. Jain biology has this absolutely fascinating classification system based entirely on ahimsa, or nonviolence. Above-ground plants, like an apple tree, are considered pratikakai, meaning they contain a single soul. You pick an apple and the tree just keeps on living. But root vegetables, like potatoes, carrots, or onions, are Anantkaya. That means a single root houses infinite microscopic souls known as nagodas. So uprooting a potato doesn't just destroy the plant ecosystem, it simultaneously extinguishes infinite microscopic lives. To prevent this massive karmic harm, Jains strictly prohibit root vegetables. But it goes even deeper. Jains also avoid these roots, especially onions and garlic, because their intensely strong flavors act as Kshaya stimulants. In Jain philosophy, a Kshaya is a negative passion. Pungent foods irritate the senses and lead directly to passions like krodha, which is anger, and lobha, which is greed. And those passions are exactly what binds sticky karma to the soul. So avoiding a potato or an onion, it isn't just about protecting the plant, it's actually about protecting the practitioner's own soul from the violence of anger and desire. Let's shift gears completely in Section 4, Warriors, Tantrics, and Taboos. Embracing taboos. Okay, let's look at this from a totally different angle. For the Kshatriya, the warrior class, eating a strictly sattvic diet might actually be detrimental to their dharma, their societal duty. Scholars like the Puri Shankaracharya have pointed out that if warriors only eat peaceful foods, it might induce too much softness or overthinking. A king or a soldier on the battlefield literally requires the high rajasic energy of meat to maintain that tiger-like aggression. They need to make rapid, decisive, life-and-death judgments. For them, a passionate diet is a functional necessity to defend the realm. And this radical shift in perspective goes even further in the left-hand tantric path. They completely flip the orthodox script. Instead of avoiding impurities, tantrics actually use forbidden substances in highly ritualized meditative settings called Ganachakra. We're talking about the famous 5 M's or Panchamakara: alcohol, meat, fish, parched grain, and sexual union. But, and this is absolutely crucial, this is not about indulgence, not at all. By intentionally consuming what Orthodox society considers deeply impure, the Tantrika is aiming to shock their mind entirely out of its dualistic thinking. They are trying to realize that the divine reality exists everywhere, even in taboo substances. So they confront the very elements that usually cause karmic bondage, and they spiritualize them. The goal is to transcend human concepts of clean and unclean altogether, to achieve a radical state of living liberation. It's wild, but internally consistent. Let's bring this all together in Section 5, Physiology, Gunas, and Consciousness. When we compare these traditions side by side, it becomes super clear how a practitioner's specific spiritual goal directly dictates their ideal dietary fuel. Look at it this way. If you want pure devotion, you eat sattvic food and avoid onions. If you want absolute nonviolence, you avoid roots entirely. If you need combative strength, you utilize meat. And if your goal is non-dual shock therapy, you embrace the taboos. The diet isn't random. It is a highly customized tool for a specific spiritual job. Let's ground this in physiological reality for a second. From an Ayurvedic perspective, oleums like garlic and onions significantly increase pitta, which is internal heat. But more importantly, they act as powerful aphrodisiacs, known as vajikarna, which agitate the lower chakras. Now imagine you're a monk requiring deep stillness, celibacy, and intense concentration. These foods act as a literal biological distraction. They constantly pull your consciousness back down into the physical body and its base survival drives. The Swaminarayan tradition takes this metaphysical understanding a step further through the concept of Shuddhi, the purity of food. They teach that a meal actually absorbs the energetic vibrational signature of the cook. You know, modern science, like the famous Masaru Emoto experiments, is just beginning to explore how water molecules might actually change structure based on sound and intention. Well, thousands of years ago, Dharmic traditions were already claiming that a chef's anger, lust, or deep devotion literally transfers into the food and subsequently right into your mind. You aren't just eating ingredients, you are eating the chef's state of mind. And that brings us back to this beautiful, foundational proverb. Jesak hao ana, vesa bane man. As is the food, so is the mind. This single sentence perfectly captures the entire essence of what we've unpacked today. Mindful eating is not merely a physical habit or some set of restrictive chores or an arbitrary religious rule. It is a profound, ancient spiritual technology meant for mastering human consciousness itself. So, based on the operating system you want for your own consciousness, whether you're seeking the pure peace of the Vaishnava, the deep compassion of the Jain, the active strength of the warrior, or the transformative power of the Tantrika, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to explore. If your mind is literally constructed out of the subtle essence of what you eat, what exactly are you building today? Choose your food as carefully as you choose your company. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll chat you in the next one.